quite sure why people think that their critique or opinions matter so much. I'm kind of talking about people just throwing their opinions out on social media, in particular about like squat depth. If someone posts a picture or a video, at super training, there's many different levels of lifters, and there's many different types of people, obviously. But even at super training, where I'm decently respected, I'm by no means an expert or a top-level expert in this sport or lifting weights. But what I am, and what I have done, even before I got to super training, is I try to soak up as much knowledge as I can. I read everything, watched everything I could for about 2 or 3 years before I even came to super training. Then I was lucky enough to be basically mentored by Mark for the last 4 years. And along that journey, being mentored by Mark, who's one of the most experienced lifters out there, I've met, hung out, lifted, talked to, and now text some of the best coaches and lifters in our sport of powerlifting to this day. So what I do have on my side is accelerated knowledge, accelerated learning. I got to learn faster probably by rubbing elbows with the best than many people out there. That rant just gets to my point of, I don't go to a different gym outside of super training or even in super training and just yell at someone and tell them their squat's high or their elbows are flared or their back's not flat until they ask me, or until they look to me for some type of help in training. I worked at a commercial gym forever, and I was a personal trainer. I sold memberships, and in that same setting, very, very rarely would I get a vibe from someone without them speaking to me that kind of said like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing, can you help me out? Or I would approach them and say something like that, like, hey man, you need some help? Hey, do you need a spot? Hey, I've done this a little bit, do you need some cues that have helped me in my lifting? But on the internet, everyone wants to know, or thinks that people want to know their opinion, whether that squat was to death or not. Recently, my boy Dan hit a big set of 650 for 5 reps. And I've been coaching him along into his meet that's coming up a little bit. And so I wasn't there that day, but Dan texted me, said, hey man, they felt pretty good. I hit a PR squat of set of 5. I think the last 2 reps were a bit shallow. They weren't to depth. And so we're aware of what's going on. We don't need 100 people to say that he didn't hit depth on the last 2 reps in training on Instagram, which don't really matter. The meet kind of matters. My point is, just to critique somebody, just to critique them doesn't make sense to me, just to bring negativity to the topic. If you're trying to really help someone, first I think you have to gain respect. And that doesn't mean you have to be the best lifter or coach in the world, but that's something common within team sports or being a coach in general, right? I don't know how many of you have ever coached a team, but I coached varsity basketball for about 4 years. And before I could just start telling these kids what to do, you know, these are 16, 17, 18-year-old kids, you have to gain their respect. And that can come in many different ways. That could be by being a great basketball player yourself, by proving your knowledge, by working hard, leading by example, stuff like that. But my point is instead of just blurting out your opinion, maybe you should focus on giving constructive criticism. Rather than just saying, hey man, you squatted super high. Oh, high squat. Maybe say, hey, looks like your hamstrings are tight. Try forcing your knees out, or this mobility drill, or whatever. That's just a random example. Why are you actually trying to help people, or are you just trying to critique just to critique? What's your goal of making a comment in person or on the internet? What's the true goal behind you? Something you learn by coaching and stuff like that is to always kind of give a compliment to open their ears. Hey Dan, just using Dan as an example. Speed looked great, man. You're looking super strong. Those last 2 reps were a little high. Let's try to focus on hitting depth. I don't think it's mobility or strength issue. I think you're just rushing yourself. That's, in my opinion, a much better way to approach somebody, to get them to actually listen, because my goal is to actually help him. You know, if your goal is actually to help somebody, you're coming about it the wrong way. If your goal is actually just to be a troll on the internet, you're doing a fine job, and people are just going to keep ignoring you. And that's a quick way in my eyes, and I think a lot of other people's eyes, just to lose respect. You know, so I guess maybe I shouldn't even be making this. Maybe it is just trolls that want to tell everybody they're squatting high. Maybe you people don't really care. But what I do as a coach here on YouTube, on the internet, on the podcast, also live, I coach 4 classes a week with strength athletes, probably working with near 50 athletes. And then online, I coach about 30 athletes. My goal is to actually help people along their way, make them improve, make them more confident, make them lift better, make them learn, so then eventually they can pass that knowledge on to other people. Just wanted to touch on that subject a little bit, guys. Just my opinions again. Try to come about it a different way if you're truly trying to help someone. And if you're not truly trying to help someone, think about it, man. Are you really just trying to spread negativity to spread negativity? Let's try to keep things positive, keep pushing each other to become better rather than just breaking each other down for no reason. That's it for me, guys. Sound Mike. I'm out. Like that bitch, share that bitch, subscribe to that bitch.
Let's go! Up! Up!